Good day and welcome to a new episode on Perspectives Are, where we give you a perspective on the current happenings in South Africa from ordinary South Africans. So, me being an ordinary South African, I need to go vote. I think it's May 8th that our president has decided the date would be. So, it's quite a short while for you to decide which party you are going to vote for if you are going to vote. If you are not going to vote, that's your choice, but it would be a travesty, especially considering the state our country is in currently. Now, the natural question would be to ask, well, why is our country in a state that would require me, a person who would ordinarily not vote because I do not believe in it or care for that matter, it doesn't affect me, as most people would say, or some would say, what would it help? Why would you need to go vote? Why is the country in the state that it is in today? And that's where we kick off our four-part series for who would a ordinary South African have to vote for. Now, I'm doing it from my perspective, being a colored South African in a middle-class economic dispensation. So I am going to go through these four parties, the ANC being one of them, Good DA, EFF. Will tell you why I would and would not vote for these people. And I'm going to start with the ANC. Now, the ANC has an illustrious uh, political history in the country. They are the reason why we are free. They are the reason why sanctions were lifted. They are the reason why the world was very excited about the prospects of the southern tip of Africa um, being greater than its heydays in its colonial past, at least uh, based on our knowledge, based off of literal history, okay, or written history. Now, if you were to look at the ANC, I'm not going to give you a history of the ANC. Neither am I going to read the manifesto for you. I'm literally going to just, from the top of my mind, freestyle and give you a perspective of what I think of them today, Monday, the 11th of uh, February. And I think that is what the ordinary South African would appreciate and would resonate with. Really interested people in politics would go read the manifesto, and then maybe from there on it might uh, increase or decrease their probability of voting for the ANC or for any other political party of that matter. But I, as you by now would know if you watch the channel, have a view that a voter shouldn't have to be politically savvy to understand why they need to vote for a certain party. Maybe in a first world country, that is very important because they supposedly have the basics down. But currently in South Africa, we do not even have the basics down. And that's what we focus on. I am going to ignore whatever political understanding I have of the current spectrum. And I'm going to give you a perspective of an ordinary person and how my life is impacted and affected by the ruling party, which is the ANC. And based on that, I would tell you whether I would or would not vote for the ANC. So let's get into it. So if I look at the ANC, it's liberation, 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 boom, freedom, right? So with Mandela, we have freedom, which these guys all prepared for. And by freedom, I mean a person based on his or her race can now be treated as human on the most basic level. After this freedom, we have building nation. After the building nation, we have, and this is building nation for all, um, and most importantly, addressing redress. Building nation, um, it was supposed to take off from building nation, but here it is, as this guy, as Cyril Ramaphosa calls it, 9 wasted years. It's truly a travesty. It's truly a travesty. And if I were to give my perspective, I would say Why won't you vote for the ANC? No, because I want to punish them. I want to punish them for this year, for the 9 wasted years of absolutely no growth. Statistics shows us that there's no growth. Okay, for punish for making things that used to work. I think back that 20 years, and I can think of most things in the country worked. Basics such as streetlights, basics such as policing, basics such as education. There is a general um, aura of things have worked. The amount of complaints was not as readily audible as they are after this guy, during and after this guy. So I wouldn't vote for them purely because of this guy. Would I give them another chance purely because of this guy? I don't know. Let me not say no yet. I don't know. Let me address um, my points of discussion. So we are gonna focus on these points of discussion. We're gonna look at the schooling system. We're gonna judge ANC on that. We're gonna judge ANC on the jobs. We're gonna judge them on the economy, our safety, our future. Are we inclusive? What policies do they have? And then lastly, um, we're going to be looking at poor people. What are they doing for the poor? That's a little bit cut off, but it's not really an issue in the video. So for me, it is very important that the schooling system works. Why am I saying that? If the schooling system works, I would like to think that it worked for me. It worked good enough to where I can, even with moderate uh, um, assessment marks, I could build a fairly comfortable life for my family because the schooling system worked for me. Afrikaans and English schools in the colored communities. I then went to a Moral C school that was inclusive. And it was good enough to equip me with morals, with respect, with an outlook on life that teaches me that hard work and respect and taking things into my own hands and not just expecting things would one day pay off for me. And I can say without doubt that it has definitely paid off for me. So the schooling system worked for me 10, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Okay. Now, is the schooling system working now? Everyone watching the video would, it doesn't matter who you are, if you are an ANC supporter or not, we can all agree that the schooling system isn't working. With the advent of technology in phones and social media, um, bad behavior is being recorded and displayed all on social media all the time. And we are somehow surprised every time we see bad behavior on the part of a teacher, on the part of a learner, or both. And the media always portrays it as a racial issue, which sometimes it could be or is, but most general thoughts about school would be that there's a general lack of discipline among students. Now, why is there general lack of discipline among students? Where's the parents at? So the parents could be blamed here, but the school system in general is just not up to standard. We often hear that, I don't know if this is true or not, I haven't researched it, but we hear that South Africa, um, in Africa, is among the the poorly educated people in Africa, on the continent. I know for important subjects or what the world deems as important, such as mathematics and science, we are almost dead last. We are incomparable with the very next neighbors of ours. Now, that coupled with the fact that our 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 grade pass has been lowered to 30%, I think now, or 33%. It's unfathomable, man. If you write over the course of a year, you have to write tests, and the tests amount to 1,000. That means that you need to get 300 correct. That means that 700 of the 1,000 questions you don't know. Do we blame the parents there? Do we blame the kids? Do we blame the school system? And the school system is obviously controlled by the ruling party, the government. So based on the current situation at schools where rich people can send their kids to schools that they can afford, and private schools are booming in South Africa. Model C schools are no longer what they used to be. I don't know what they call them now, dual medium or whatever they call them now. I don't think they call them Model C schools anymore. Based on just having a quick glance at it, if I were to quickly glance at schools, I would not vote for the ANC. So there I would give them a fail. Let's move on to jobs. Immediate fail. Yes, I got a job as a colored person. I would like to think because of my skills and my education, which I said was good and is good to this day still. Um, but if there was no BEE policy, we'll get to policies now, would I have gotten the job? Would they have looked at me? Would they? Maybe they would have, but with the policy of BEE, they were forced to look at me, right? But we'll get to policy now. But for me, jobs, I would vote for the ANC because I'm me. I'm a colored, meaning there's opportunities for colored people, or used to be. Currently, now there is the popular saying in colored circles that, or so-called colored circles, that in apartheid you were not white enough, and in post-apartheid modern day South Africa you are not black enough, as jobs are supposedly only looking for black candidates, and black people en masse would tell you this is incorrect because they are also not getting jobs. So then now where are the jobs going, guys? We have to ask ourselves now. If the jobs are going to the colored people, they're not going to the black people, then to who are the jobs going to? Now, if you're watching this, depending on your race, and yes, we speak about race openly here on this channel because that's the history of our country, and it's something we need to address. If you are a white person, you would not vote for the ANC solely because of that second point right there, jobs. You feel that you are being discriminated against, which you are correct. The policy is a discriminatory policy. However, the policy is more importantly, it is more um, corrective than it is discriminatory. So we are correcting discrimination, and the outcome of it is 20% discrimination but 80% correction, if that would make sense to you. That's why the policy is passed. We need to give black disadvantaged people, colored disadvantaged people, Indian disadvantaged people a fair chance in the job market. You have to ask yourself a question: how far does it go? When will the policy end? Again, we are touching on policy, but policy, we will talk about other policies there. When we talk about jobs, if I were to quickly glance at it, if I were to quickly glance at jobs, and I had to make a decision on who I had to vote for the ANC or not, I would not vote for the ANC because I leave my job and I see over 100 people every single day sit outside hoping that someone would see them and give them a job. Black men specifically, my age. Now where did the system fail them? How did I get a job? How did I get to buy a house and a car and save and invest and send my kids to a good school? And how does that guy, my same age, not get that opportunity? But we are both disadvantaged. We are both from the same era. Where did the system fail him? Could it be the schools? Hell yes. Is that bad jobs or not having a job as a result of bad schools? Fucking yeah. Based on that quick glance on jobs, are they creating jobs? No. I would not vote for the ANC. And I know in the manifesto they said that they created jobs for people. They're talking bullshit. If you go look at the facts, there's a website called Fact Check or Africa Check or something like that. Just go look at it. They basically tear apart the ANC's manifesto and they fact check all their claims. Creating a job for someone for 6 months is not sustainable. What we are, or I personally am interested in, is sustainable employment. Can I take a guy with no matric? Can I skill him up? And can I give him a meaningful job that will equal a meaningful life, that will equal building a family, that will equal him being able to contribute to the economy with his money that he gets? Is the ANC doing that currently? No. Fail. I would not vote for ANC there. Let's go on to the economy. If the schools are bad and the jobs are bad, the economy is going to be bad. And no, I'm not going in according to. I didn't think about this before I did the video. So the order of import, it's not in order of importance, or it's not even in order of flowing. As I said, I'm literally talking off the top of my head here. So if the schools are bad and the jobs are not coming in, where the majority of our people are unemployed, that means there is more pressure on those who are employed. The economy is going to be bad. And just recently, I think it was late last year, or I can't remember when it was, we came out of a technical recession. There's a slowdown of economic growth. People are not spending. We are not sending as much out of the country as we are taking into the country. What is produced here doesn't go out. What is produced outside has to come in at exorbitant prices. There's not enough people to spend money in the economy. The economy is not turning. We have crazy policies being made that affects our economy negatively. 60 billion rand is lost. Is it 60 billion is lost by one decision of Jacob Zuma to fire a finance minister and then again a couple of days later to hire another one. It's things like that. And it's not the individual, it's the collective of the ANC. If I had to quickly, if you were to ask me, if you were to vote for the ANC based on how the economy is today, would you? It would not even be a thought. I would say no. Now, yes, we can go and we can debate, but it's factors outside of our control, etc., etc. Those external factors, yes, they do affect. But if you would look at how the ANC affects our markets, the policies they make, the things they say, if I were to give a quick glance at the economy and think of voting for the ANC, I would say no. I would not vote for the ANC based on their performance in the economy because it hasn't been performing. God forbid the mining sector decides it's going to close down and close, and people by the thousands lose their jobs. No, they fail. If I were to look at safety and you to ask me, are you going to vote for the ANC based on how secure and safe you and your family feel? Hell no. In the last 10 years, crime has risen to astronomical levels. People are targeting people on farms because they're easy targets. We hope so. We hope it's not racially motivated. People in shanty towns know of gangsterism. Gangsterism in colored communities are taking over the communities. In every colored community, there is gangsterism problem and a drug problem. Are we safe as people in this country? No. Have we been safer in the 90s? Maybe. Are we currently safe? No. If you were to ask me, Lance, take a quick glance at safety and tell me, are you going to vote for the ANC? I would tell you, hell no. I don't feel safe. I do not trust the police. The police have shown themselves to be um, ill equipped, ill prepared, poorly trained. And these are only people that I think they make 7, or 8,000 in a month. So the opportunity to bribe a cop is so easy. The opportunity to bribe a security guard is so easy. It's always there because the amount of money they get for what they're expected to do, and the requirement of being a cop is literally just matric, and with a slagsyfer of 30% in matric, and then you can become a police officer. There's the matchup is just wrong, man. The matchup is wrong. No, I do not feel safe. There was this story a couple of years ago where they think that Boko Haram and ISIS have strongholds in South Africa. I won't shove it off as a conspiracy theory. It's totally possible. The way people just come into the country how they want to, easily. Fake visas and come in. Some don't even show visas. Our borders are open to the north of Africa. Come in here. Come do what you want to here. It's quick glance at safety. Would you vote for the ANC? No. If I were to look at my future, would I vote for the ANC based on, if I were to think of my future and that of my kids, and someone would ask me, if you were to think of your future and would you vote for the ANC currently today? I would say maybe. And this is why I say why. The ANC has literally had one of their worst years in the past 9 years possible. Now, granted, the people who are in power, first of all, they are old, so they are going to die soon, maybe 10, 15 years. They will need to retire, meaning someone with different mindset will come in there. So whatever happened in the last 9 years cannot possibly be repeated again. If it is repeated again, it is highly impossible that we would become a Zimbabwe. To me at least, to me and my perspective, it's highly impossible we'll become a Zimbabwe, because those within the ANC currently know, and they were they were there, they were implicated in being part of the 9 years to be forgotten. Now we can't just forget it. I mean, you are the reason why the 9 years exist. But there's a glimmer of hope there, because that's what the ANC does. It represents hope. That's what they did in 1992, 3, and 4, and then after that 5, we won the Rugby World Cup. It was just joyous celebrations everywhere. There was a feeling of inclusivity. There was a feeling of a good future for everyone. And I think that the ANC, if they go back to that stronghold of theirs, being a political party that has a representation that mimics hope for people, then yes, I would see, if I were to look at the future and I would look at the current ANC now, I know, just logically thinking, that those who are there who made the mistakes cannot possibly make the mistakes again. But that is very optimistic thinking. So that's why I'm saying a maybe. I would literally, the other aspects such as school, jobs, economy, and safety would override that maybe choice if I were to vote for the ANC, regarding my future. If I were to think of inclusivity, and this is on all levels: school, jobs, economy, safety, health, race, culture, I would not vote for the ANC. The ANC has a mass focus on black people. I'm a so-called colored person, not black person. I'm an African. A black person is an African. Okay, um, and their focus is on black Africans. Their focus is not on white Africans. Their focus is not on Indian Africans. Neither is their focus on so-called colored Africans. I do not feel inclusive when they talk about economy. I do not feel included when they talk about their future or their plans for the country. Now, I am obviously not included because I am part of the small middle class um, demographic. These guys are talking to the poor, because the poor are the most in this country, and the poor is where the vote lie. That's their constituency. But yet I pay taxes every year, big, big, big amounts of taxes. So I should feel included. I should feel that you talk to me, firstly as a taxpayer, and then secondly as a citizen of this country, thirdly as a person from the colored demographic of this country. I first of all do not see representation there. that would make me resonate with the ANC. I do not see represent. I do not see anything in the policy that speaks to me. In fact, the very thing that I identify with, ek praat Afrikaans, ek is 'n brain mens. They want to remove everything Afrikaans. They want to make Afrikaans seem devilish. They want to make they got rid of the term colored, which is right in my opinion, but don't want to identify um, mixed race or colored people, whatever they are called, Damara, Namakoi, Khoisan. They don't want to identify that. I want them to speak to that for me, and I want them to speak about that immediately, not establish a commission of inquiry to figure out what I am and what I must identify myself as. So I do not feel inclusive. I cannot imagine. I cannot. Whether a white person is racist or not, it is illogical to think that because you are white you are racist. It's illogical to think that way. Yes, we know that there are racist people that are white, just like there are racist people that are black. But it's illogical to think that because of what their forefathers or uncles and aunties and opas did, therefore all of them, all of white people are racist. I cannot imagine how it must be being a white person in this country and you have to vote for the. If you were to ask them, hey, white guy, ga jy vote for the ANC? Nee, hulle praat nie met my nie. They do not talk to white people. But you are supposed to be inclusive. Mandela spoke to everyone. Mandela understood everyone's gripes. He made it a point, whether he understood cultures or not, he at least made you feel and think that he does. Spoke to everyone. Why do you think that part of this stem is still in the national anthem? Because we are a diverse nation. But if you were to look today at the country, 99% of focus is on uplifting black people. Black people are the most people in the country, 100%. Black people are still the most in the demographic of poor people, 100%. I agree with that. But do not shun the other demographics. Poor people struggle too. Poor people are colored people struggle a lot. All you have to do is just drive through a colored community. As you drive through a black community, drive through a colored community. Look at the cut that's going on there. So no, if I were to vote for them on inclusivity, I do not feel inclusive. That's why I honestly believe in 2019 elections um, it will be a form of identity politics. I know black people vote for the ANC because they are black, and they will not vote for any other party because they are not black. Anyone who disagrees with me can come and tell me in the comments or whatever. Come talk to me. But that's facts. It's not facts that are backed up. Well, you can maybe back up, but statistics we can look and we see that the demographics of black people vote for the ANC and the other black parties, but they are voting along identity politics. That is the agenda. That is the process and the belief that stems in this country. Now, if you were to vote according to what you identify with, it's identity politics. If you identify with BE, you would vote for the ANC because it's identity politics. If you would vote for that Christian party because you are a Christian, you identify with them. You won't vote for them because you're a Muslim. If there's a Muslim party, the Muslims would vote for the Muslim party. It's identity. I vote for what identifies with me. But I'm talking more along the lines of racial identity. But we'll get to good as a colored anti-pet in another video. But if I were to vote, I think 2019 is going to be racial politics. It already is because the EFF and the ANC are showing you they have no respect for white people in this country at all. Zero. It's so sad that I can see it in their actions and I can see it, I identify them by their fruit. Everything in this country is blamed on white people. Now, you will never ever get people to forget about apartheid, and you shouldn't. You should teach your children about apartheid. Even you white people, teach your kids about apartheid. No one is blaming you. We are saying that people that look like you did it. We're not saying you did it. You teach them better, teach them different. But this constant race card playing and blame game playing is making me feel exclusive. I'm not feeling inclusive. I'm feeling excluded from the party here. If I look at the ANC and look at myself, I don't identify with them. I feel excluded in all their policies. So no, they lose there as well. They fail there. I wouldn't vote for them there based on inclusivity. Policies, quota system, BEE system. What other policies do they have? It's policies that are guided along racial lines. Now, I said all the time on this channel, because of our racial past, racial exclusive past, we have to have racial inclusive policies. But if the inclusion means all black, you are excluding automatically others. BE and affirmative action is applied all over the world, especially in countries where it was the opposite. So if you don't have BEE, you have WEEE, you have WEE, you have white economic empowerment, which was what apartheid was. We just didn't have a voice or a platform to create policy to counteract that. So it's actually said that you now have to be part of the crowd that do not benefit white people, but that's basically what it is. There was white economic empowerment. Before affirmative action, there was action for yourself. People literally did not look at non-white people. So I can understand and I respect your understanding of that redress that has to, needed to happen and will happen. A redress of inequality based along racial lines will happen. So I would vote for the ANC a big yes when it comes to policy. How they implement the policy obviously is not working because everything up there, inclusivity, future safety, economy, jobs, schools, are not working. So it tells you that these guys do not know how to implement anything. If you look at Ramaphosa's speech at SONA, it's again, just like all the other times, the ANC's policies are world-class policies, my bro. It's things that would really make a country win if it is done correctly within 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. It's things that will change a country around dramatically. The policies they have. This of land redistribution is a brilliant policy because it needs to happen. It's again redressing past injustices. Listen to the words we are using: redress, injustice. These are important words because the word was bundled up into the meaning was bundled up into one word. But if you look at them, go read the meaning, then you will get a sense of the emotions involved in the words we use, such as injustice, such as racism, such as redress, such as affirmative action, such as black economic empowerment. If you understand the meaning of the word, you would understand immediately. You would automatically get a 50% better understanding of why it needs to happen. The how, the why is not the question. The ANC wins there. Policy establishment, policy ideas, 100% win. Policy implementation, 150% fail. They fail there dismally. I cannot understand how they come up with brilliant policies, but they fail to implement them brilliantly. This is, but if you start to talk about it and you start to think about it, you can understand why. Because the future and inclusivity and safety and economy and schools and jobs is broken, why would something like policy be working? Because policy actually affects and is the foundation, the groundwork of people feeling inclusive, people feeling they are safe, there being an economy because schools work and because automatically jobs will be created because their policies are not implemented properly. If you were to ask me, Lance, are you going to vote for the ANC based on their policy? I would look and I would tell you yes, in hope, again, if I think about what I did with my future, in hope that people who fucked up the implementation of policies cannot possibly make the same mistake again. Lastly, let's talk about the poor. and it's a topic very dear to my heart because I know poor people. I have poor people working for me. When I see poor people, I almost want to cry. If you look at poor people and you don't feel sad or you feel shit, there's something wrong with you. Okay, you are the problem with the world, let alone South Africa. There's too many poor people in the country, man. It's a travesty. I cannot talk about it a lot, or too much or enough. Sorry. Yes, there are organizations. Yes, there are people that help, and thank God for those souls. But my fucking word, people are becoming poorer and poorer, let alone those who are poor. And it's again time to take advantage of those poor because it's election year. Now, what can we do about the poor? Are the poor poor because of the ANC, or are the poor poor because of the past? And why people don't come with that shit of you always talk about the past, you must forget the past. No, the past is the reason why we are here. Do we blame the past? No. We talk about the past more often. We'll understand what needs to change and how we are going to change it. That's why we talk about the past. Don't try and pray it away because it won't go away. It happened. It happened. We need to make sure it doesn't happen again, and we need to make sure we talk about it so much without blame, of course, because those who figured it out and who implemented it, they are under the covers, man. They're gone. We don't know where they are. Who do we blame? We're trying to put a face to this thing. It's a faceless thing. We can try and blame their ilk or their kin. It won't make any difference. It's like you blaming Jacob Zuma's or Sanama Poza's kids. Kids is kids. Sanama Poza's grandchildren for the cuck. Or you blaming Jacob Zuma's grandchildren for the wasted 9 years. It makes no sense, man. It's illogical. But if I were to look at the poor today and I were to say, would I vote for the ANC? Again, I would say yes. Now, hear me out quickly. I know it sounds crazy. Purely based off the reason why I voted yes in a policy aspect and I voted maybe in my future and my kids' future aspect. Simply because for that point right there, the poor, the policy, the future, I believe the ANC is the right party to fix that, to turn it around. I believe that the new ones in power in the ANC or even the existing ones would possibly not make the same mistakes again concerning those 3 points. It's highly impossible for them to make the same mistakes again. State capture, mass scale corruption, cadre deployment, uh, crazy legislation, crazy policies that would cause economic downturn, non-implementation of policy, unprofessionalism at government levels. They already know the problems. They just couldn't talk about it. Will they look after the poor? Their policies say so. Their policies say they are going to look after the poor. I don't think an EFF or a DA or good has the time or the capacity when they are in power to think of the poor. They have other shit to think of. Yeah, I know it doesn't make sense because the poor are still poor because of the ANC. However, that glimmer of hope that the ANC represents or represented, that glimmer of hope comes to mind now when I think of the ANC. That that what these people stood for, what they stood for, that hope is still here. I think when we look back 10 years from now, by looking 10 years into the future, whoever's there, we would say that the trajectory would just that the trajectory would do that. It will be up with the ANC. Although they failed most of my of my points here that I look at when I vote. When I go vote, I look at these things. Although fail. They fail five out of what's it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They fail out of eight. One, two, three. They fail 5 out of the 8. That's a bad. That's 30%. They fail 5 out of the 8 important aspects for me when I go vote. My perspective, I think on the ones that they do succeed, the, they will be able to help the poor. They will be able to create policy and implement policy. Hopefully, well, they already have the 50% chance by creating great policy. I don't know whether they can still implement it. I hope so. They have the hope of my future. I do not see any hope of a future with a new political party. If I think of future, at least, I think they will be able to do it. Guys like these guys here, these guys and what they represented. Now, granted, they had their little issues, but when we think about voting now, again, I say we have to think on such um, oppervlakkige, if I have to say it in Afrikaans, level as to why you would vote. It's not rocket science now. It's not chess. This shit is checkers now. Am I voting for the ANC? Yes or no? I would say a massive and a disappointing no, not this time around. I voted for you guys previously, but in 2019, you're not going to get my national vote. You are definitely not getting my local vote. This is perspectives are. It's really tragic what has happened to the ANC. It's really sad what their actions has did to our country, our people, white, black, Indian, colored, of all races. It's it's quite evident that they do not know how to turn their party around because there's so much infighting. There's so many people that has become greedy and so um, disjointed from reality and what happens on the ground that they are a shadow of their former self. Not even, no, not even a shadow. They are literally a percentage, a very small percentage of their former self. They are, as experts say, a liberation movement, and they are not a government. They cannot govern. They can liberate. They cannot govern. And I think that's what those of you who are going to vote for them are maybe going to give them that chance to see, hey, there's a new guy at the helms. Let's give him a chance. Maybe you're not going to, if he fails, you're going to say, fuck this people. Then you're really going to vote for another party in 2024, I think. But I am not going to vote for them. I've literally had enough. On my points where I want them to win, they don't win. That's part one of this 4-part series on who I would vote for and I would not vote for the ANC. Please like, please subscribe, please share with your friends and family. Please comment. Tell me the video is shit. Tell me it's taking too long. Tell me the sound is shit. Tell me anything. Some feedback would be good. Thanks. Please look out for the next video. Bye.